Yo. Oh, wait. I should go get some water. Fuck. Burb. Where is this little guy? I'm not little. Okay? You're little. Bitch. I didn't mean that. Alright. Let's talk about WoW. Fucking love WoW. God, I love WoW. You know what I mean, guys? There's just nothing better than some World of Warcraft on a fucking Wednesday. Did Max just read YouTube chat? Man, shut up. I always read YouTube chat. You guys are haters. Max, what's your opinion on the back and forth between Ding and Gukesh in the World Chess Championship? It's riveting. Pepperoni pizza is a close second to WoW. Guys, I got news for you, by the way. If you get a pepperoni pizza, next time you order that, put some jalapenos on that bitch. Trust. Pepperoni and jalapenos go together crazy. Max, what's your opinion on dog mental... What? Guys, what are you guys fucking talking about today? You guys are saying some crazy shit. You guys are just... You're just saying things. I don't do that. I don't say things. I just... Well, I guess I do kind of just say stuff. Really. Breaking news. They just issued a warrant for your arrest in Bologna? Is that a place? Let me tell you. Bologna travel. Yeah, there is. Where the fuck is Bologna at? "14 essential things to know before visiting Bologna." Sounds Italian. Max, the media is calling you the jalapeno lunatic. Yo, did you guys hear a CEO got assassinated today? Holy moly. Which one? Or wait, maybe it was yesterday. But yeah, United Healthcare, apparently. United Healthcare CEO got taken down before a meeting this morning. Which is kind of scary for me, because if you think about it, I'm kind of a CEO. I'm the CEO of rating. Of NA rating. So it was a dangerous day for me. Max, I work in the industry as a pharmacist. Shit. Really? I know a lot of people are like W CEO dead, like anti-corporation business and all that stuff. I will say, man, I've met a few CEOs of like big companies. Actually, not. I don't know if I've met more than like two. So I met the Nvidia CEO, and I met the Elgato. No, not the Nvidia CEO. I met the Elgato CEO. Hey, maybe it's just one like major company. Yeah. So I met the Elgato CEO. I'm not gonna lie, guys. That was the first time I ever met a CEO, and it was immediately obvious to me why he was the CEO. That guy was definitely the smartest person in the room. Wasn't like over speaking, was listening every time he talked. It was really smart. And you could tell that that guy was really fucking good. Yeah, so it made me realize that CEOs sometimes are there because they're probably just like built diffy. That's just a stupid thing to think. CEOs are people. They are successful. Wishing them death is not only weird and stupid, but wrong. Yeah, no one's saying the opposite of that, right? Max, watch out. I think Fired Up has a plan for you this evening. What? What, you gonna say Fired Up's gonna take me out? God damn. That's not good. I thought you said that some people rejoice with the death of a CEO. Yeah, they do. I saw it on Twitter. Although that's not a great example because, like, Twitter has all kinds of fucking crazy shit on it. But, yeah. You know. I saw one, it was like, to the person who assassinated the United Healthcare CEO. Did you know there are other CEOs, implying you should kill more of them? It's kind of fucked up. Yeah, someone in chat. Call me crazy, but I think murder is bad. Bro, so true. Yo, real quick, were you guys ready for this Warband screen? Were you? Were you fucking ready for... Wait, why is Rizzy's shoulders all stupid looking? Why is dog form look... Oh, he's like a fresh level 80. Look at him in the fresh level 80 drip. I gotta put him in his mog again. Woo! Did you see all the Plunderstorm rewards yet? No. Not at all. Guys, good news on my audio issues. If you've heard static coming from my mic, or if you've heard thumping during the podcast because I'm like holding my mic so you don't hear the static, Frank has a super genius coming to my house sometime whenever I have time, and he's gonna fix everything because he's a genius. Also, I need to do a sponsored stream for that new Indiana Jones game, and it's either gonna be tomorrow or like Monday? Max, leak your Spotify Wrapped. I kind of stopped using Spotify this year, and it's kind of for a stupid reason that's pretty Spotify Wrapped. Pretty Spotify Wrapped, like related actually. So, and I've heard there's a way around this too, but I'm too stupid to do it. But basically, I started using Spotify for my like stream playlist, which usually means DMCA free, not trying to get my shit taken down. Yes, I know you can like split your audio track and stuff, but I just don't like that. it just feels like a weird vibe when you're watching the VOD. And I have a ton of VOD watchers. Plus, I'm on YouTube as well, co-stream or like dual streaming on YouTube. And YouTube, you can't do that either. You like lose all your money. So I kind of just have to do this. So because of that, my Spotify thinks I like DMCA free elevator music. And that was on my Spotify Wrapped one year. It was like, this year your favorite artist was like some artist I've never heard from. And it's like, this was your favorite, you know, this is your favorite genre. And it's like fucking dog shit elevator music. I'm like, okay, so that sucks. Yeah. So I kind of stopped using it. Because also it messed up my like related playlists and stuff. Like when I would put it on autoplay. I don't know. Spotify does one thing better than every other music company. Besides the fact that I think a lot of people just have their playlist on Spotify, so they're not really trying to switch. But Spotify does do one thing better. The whole like add random tracks to your playlist. Like Spotify's algorithm for figuring out music you want is definitely better than anyone else's. And that's probably the most valuable thing. Apple Music's getting a lot better, but I've been using Apple Music for like, I think 6 months, maybe 8 months now. The sound quality is noticeably better. The spatial audio is really cool. And I don't know, I just like it. It's also, Apple Music has one of the best like classical music selections. They even have an entire app called Apple Music Classical that has like a ton of really good work done on it. A lot of people don't listen to classical music. I listen to a lot of it. I grew up performing it, right? So, yeah. Spotify. Someone in chat says, Spotify thinks I'm an edgy goth witch. Well, Miss Queenie, all I'm saying is Spotify gets me. So you may be an edgy goth witch deep down, right? Max, what instrument did you play? My vocal cords. Do you also listen to podcasts outside of WoW themed stuff? Yes, I do. You guys want some you guys want to hear what's in my podcast library? All right, so first of all, I'm a huge The Ringer fan. Big Bill Simmons guy. Don't care about Boston sports, but I think Bill Simmons is the fucking GOAT. At least the GOAT podcaster. Okay, here's my podcast list, just looking at like my library. In no particular order. The Bill Simmons podcast, obviously. The Town with Matt Bellany. It's like Matt Bellany is a former writer for like the Hollywood Reporter, and he now writes for Puck, and he writes basically on the film and TV industry, as well as a lot of the like streaming industry. That's probably the best podcast I listen to. The Town, if you're interested in anything like that. Another one is the Press Box. It's basically a guy who worked as like a journalist, and it's just like, it's kind of like a podcast about journalists reacting to journalism, which is super interesting because I don't really care about journalism, but he really does, and he's really interesting. I listen to, what's another? Oh, Plain English with Derek Thompson. Derek Thompson is a like pop culture, he covers a lot of things, but like mainly a pop culture writer who's like really, really smart. And he just has an awesome podcast with a bunch of different guests on it. And I think those are like my main ones. Do you listen to the Ringerverse stuff from the Ringer? Yeah, I do. I listen to House of R, Mallory Rubin, Joanna Robinson, really good. Listen to The Big Picture a little bit, movie podcast. Listen to The Midnight Boys a little bit. I get into all that, yeah. Potty C is the best podcast I listen to. Dude, you know what's funny? I feel like I'm the biggest critic of our own podcast. I usually listen to our podcast episodes, and I, like, when they're really good, I actually enjoy listening to them again. And when they're not good, I like can hear it as a listener and hear why, and try to steer us away from that if we can, or talk about it with them. I don't see a pattern there other than you like to listen to smart people. I think that's pretty much... I don't know how you define a smart person, but yeah, I like listening to people who seem like they know what they're talking about, talk about pretty much anything they find interesting. You know? There's been a not good one. Yeah, I think we've had podcast episodes that were a little slower. For sure. Harder to get going. Especially early. I think now we kind of have a rhythm. We know what we're doing. But yeah. It takes time to get good at anything, right? Max, if you play your vocal cords, does that make you the throat goat? What are we doing here, man? Hey, Max, do you think you'll play PoE 2 past the sponsored segment? That's a good question. I don't know. I'm going to play it on Friday, and if it's really, really fun, I'm going to continue playing it. I have all day Friday. I have nothing going on Friday. I don't have a hockey game. I don't have any other thing planned. I'm going to wake up whenever it comes out, which I actually don't know. I'm sure you guys know and will tell me. I actually don't know what time it comes out. Hopefully it's not like super early. And then, yeah, I'll play it until I'm bored. And hopefully I'm not, and it's amazing, and I'm having a bunch of fun. It comes out at like 3 EST. Oh, dude, God bless. That sounds so good. That is so good. Dude, when games come out at 9 a.m. or like 8 a.m., what the fuck are we doing here? You know? What are we doing? What are we doing? You're releasing a game to gamers, buddy. You and Dratty have gotten a lot better at allowing Dorky a window to speak without the visual cues. Oh, I'm actually interested that you picked that up. It's really easy for me. When I'm talking, I'm feeding off of Dratnos' energy, which means that might be a nod. It might be a nice listening smile. And then sometimes it's an eyebrow raise. And like clearly he has a thought about this, and then you can lead him in. But Dorky's just, you guys see like an animated cat pic. We just see a black screen. We see nothing. We see the void. So it's really hard to know when Dorky kind of wants to step in. So yeah, it has been interesting learning how to do that, but we have been gotten better at it. Dratnos is a beast. Yeah, he's a goat for sure. Wait, do you not even know what he looks like? Who, Dorky? No. I also don't care. Does that matter to you guys at all? Like, I don't think that like I know Dorky really well. Like, Dorky's a good friend of mine, and I could never know what he looks like, and it would never matter to me at all. I don't give a fuck. He might be a cat. I don't know. It's crazy that it's so hard to find the free-to-play release time and date for PoE 2 since everything is about early access. Yeah, it's because it's a game release. It's just like it's you don't have to shame them for it. I mean, GGG's got a lot of positive PR going on, but people release the unfinished game in early access for money on purpose. That's not like some gift to the community. It's a fucking game release, man. They've been doing this since PUBG. There's no date yet, that's why. Yeah. Are you playing PoE 2? I mean, yeah, I've already played it. And I had fun doing it. I don't know how deep I'll go into it. I'm playing with Shroudy tomorrow. Oh, I need to figure out if we're playing with more people. I'll find it right now. One of these days, we're going to find out that Growl and Dorky are the same person with just two voice changers. You think so? Growl and Dorky have two very distinctly different personalities. You know? Do you have characters already for which the slash plate is flying around more than 50% of the time? No. I have like a completely ridiculous amount of slash played. Why did I even log? I logged into dog form to change the mog, right? Oh, yeah. Let's fucking go dog form. Check this shit out. Definitely not. I mean, Guys, recently I haven't been playing a ton of WoW. For a few reasons that we've talked about a lot. But I have an absolutely absurd amount of time played on this account. Like, I have played so much World of Warcraft. Like, from like 2011 to like 2018 or 2019. So, Kata through... like, end of Kata through... BFA, really? I guess since I stopped, like, playing in the raid. I mean, just permanently playing WoW. Can you share your WoW origin story? I have, like, a YouTube video about it that might be kind of what you're looking for. But I don't really feel like doing a whole ass thing right now. Have you looked at the new December trading post? No, I haven't, and that sounds like an excellent idea, actually. Let's do that. Woo! Woo! Yeah. Let's do it. What is it? I thought maybe there's an alt you only leveled for one tier but enjoyed flying around on. I mean, there's no way it's 50% though. I mean, there's definitely like, do you think 50% of my time this season so far playing WoW has been flying? It's probably close. Like on stream, yeah, for sure, right? You have a trading post in Dornegal? Oh shit, I didn't know that. Alright. Let's get those free tendies. Oh, I got a fucking mount out of there. How? Okay, cool. I'd like to see what you have to offer. Alright, you have anything that looks stupid? That looks pretty stupid. Okay. There's a mount. Okay. How many tendies do I have? 3,400. Max, weren't you interested in joining the OnlyFans thing? No. Wait, we got a little candy cane sword? That might be a W. We might be taking that home. Aegis of Yuletide? Wait, some of this shit goes hard as fuck. Dude, I'm putting this on my mog, I think. Oh, hell yeah. We're buying all this dumbass shit. This shit looks insanely stupid. Let's go. All right, what a good day. Look at this sword. Let's go. Are Americans incapable of saying thousands? Is that like a miles inches thingy? What? Okay. Is there any... Did I miss any Christmas stuff? That's a pretty cool bow. 3,400? I don't know. Saying like 2,500 or 2,500 is... I don't know. Maybe. Here we go. Nice little fan. Okay. No more Christmas stuff, it appears. That's fine. We'll buy the flying mount, I guess. +1. Oh my god, look at this present thing. Oh. Let's Christmas my Mogs out a little bit. You guys want to do that? I want to do that. Let's go. I don't have any shield characters, so we're good. We got all the stuff we need. All right. Fucking hell yeah. Do I have a staff on right now? Oh my god, I do. Oh. Woo. What a day. What a day. Max, what's on your Christmas list this year? I don't really have shit on my Christmas list. I don't know. Wait, no. Is it staves? Yes, dude. Stupid tree. It looks so good. Oh, what does it look like on the front screen? What does it look like here? Come on, give me something. Okay, Bone Floppy's getting the present mace. Oh shit, he read YouTube chat. Guys, this bit's getting old. I'm a YouTube chat enjoyer. Fuck out of here, man. What are you doing? Has Max's camera been in the top left this entire time? Bro, it's in the... Am I crazy? It's in the bottom left right now. Are you... What are you doing? What are you doing? Oh, you said bottom left. Oh, I'd read it wrong. I am gaslighting you. That's good. Oh, wait, I have 2 one-handers on. Fuck, you can't do the maces, can you? No. I might have to play 2-hander on this character. Oh, wait. The double fucking candy swords, though. Wait a second. Hold the phone. That's the old one. I think that's the one from last year, but it still works. W. I was using those on my Demon Hunter. Did you have fun in Louisville? I always forget you're from here. Yeah, I mean, I haven't been in Louisville for a while. I might fly back to Louisville to go see my family over Christmas. I was considering doing that. Speaking of which, I probably have to buy those tickets. You know? Completing the tender thing for the month has a nice reward. Ooh, what'd it do? Max, you're from Louisville? I was born in Atlanta, Georgia, and I moved to Louisville when I was 5. So most of my like formed memories from when I was a kid are purely from Louisville, and then I was raised there, and then I went to school at U of L, and then I left. But yeah, lived in Louisville. I like that city a lot. Oh yeah, I needed to see the monthly. How do you see the monthly reward for the trader tendy? Oh, here we go. Collect the purple Murloc onesie. God fucking damn it, I have to play the game. Okay, how long does it take to get this many points? Fuck. Wait, let's see. Participate in Korak's Revenge. No. Complete quest in Kalimdor. Definitely not. Hey Max, I'm trying to get my first cutting edge this tier, and my guild just lost to the roster boss. Do you think it's worth trying to find a new 2 or 3 day guild this late in the tier or nah? My guess, so you're better off asking a lot of people from chat, because I bet they have a lot more input on this than me. But I want to say you're probably cooked. Like, if your guild loses to the roster boss... I mean, there's a lot of time left in the season, actually. I don't think you're cooked. Like, there's got to be another season. Because, like, if other people... Like, if your guild died to a roster boss, that means other 2 to 3 day guilds are fighting the roster boss. So you're looking for a guild like that. It might be easier to get into one now. Actually, is this objectively the easiest time to get into a guild? Mid-season, people aren't cleared yet. But like, people are losing players, so people are obviously looking for players to get into a shitty guild. People quit shitty and good guilds all the same, right? And like people, you need certain people on your team, and it's like you don't want to join a team at the beginning of the season, right? You want to join at the end of the last one. So if you know you like playing the game, I think you should definitely be doing that. So, I don't know if you'll necessarily get cutting edge, but I think joining one of those guilds will be good. You should stop by Iceland for a celebrity guest practice with the kids. You're probably the most famous hockey player from Kentucky. I think you vastly overestimate how famous I am. Most like hardcore gamers have no idea who I am, which is also a good thing. I think I have the ideal level of fame, which is not very. Like, there's certain levels of famous where, and I've been around these people where it's like you literally get asked for a picture all the time. And like, I don't know, if you were to like be dating someone new, like people would just be like taking pictures of you and shit like that. Like that's like a level of fame where I think it like affects your life in a very negative way. I don't think any level of famous that I am, which again is not very, it doesn't affect me negatively really at all. So we're good. Yeah, I don't think any of them would care about me. Surely there has to be an NHL player from Kentucky. I actually don't know if there is, but probably, yeah. You have a comfortable niche level of fame. Yeah, like, I have the ability to go to, like, a convention for gaming and, like, be very well known and get that kick of it, you know? You get to, like, meet a lot of people who you mean a lot to them, and that's really cool. But you don't have to deal with any of the annoying outside stuff. Like, basically, 8 out of 10 people that stop you for a picture ever, whether someone sees me in LA or really they're at a gaming convention or anything, they're just, how would I describe these people? They're vaguely aware of you, but they are not fans of you, but they like know who you are, and they're like, they have to take a picture with you, and they want to, they're like Pokemon trainers. They want to collect them all, and what collecting them is like pictures with people that they know. But they don't really care. And those people, you just take a quick pick and move on. But like, I would say like 2 out of 10, maybe 1 out of 10 people are people that like really like fuck with you. Like, they know your content. They've watched a lot of it. They've followed you. They're like truly fans of you. And those people, I love meeting people like that. Because like, you know, you want to ask them a lot about them. Not because, like, part of it is because you're genuinely interested, but also I think that interaction means so much to them that you really want to try your best to make sure that it's memorable. When you go to a gaming convention like BlizzCon, instead of 8 out of 10 people you meet being like that, it's like, it's flipped. It's like 8 out of 10 people that come up to you like you mean a lot to them, so it's really rewarding. It's also kind of draining over a few days to do that because it's like a lot of fucking people, but it's really cool. But like, getting recognized out in public is usually like, okay, remember I told you it's 80-20? There's actually an entire other part of the pie, which is that they don't even recognize me. They just see I'm wearing Team Liquid stuff, and then they ask me if I am part of Team Liquid, and then I say yes, then I tell them what game, and then they're immediately sad. And I have to feel like I have to make it up to them. I'm like, I'm sorry. Like, I know you wanted me to say like League or Valorant or something, and I didn't, right? And here we are, but I'm sorry. They were not expecting me to say World of Warcraft. What is it? Kungan is more famous than you according to Famous Tracker. I don't know what the fuck Famous Tracker is, but I'd agree with that. Like, Kungan was a super well-known name when WoW was like a bigger part of people's lives and was like the best game in the world by far. Right? Like, I've streamed more. Like, I'm probably a bigger streamer. But as far as fame and name recognizability, that's like way, way more for sure. And a lot of it has nothing to do with stream viewership or anything. It's just like people who played WoW during those times, they just knew who Kungan's name was. Right? The you in Kungan is more like how you'd say you. I've always just said Kungan. I'm probably gonna keep doing that. My wife knows who you are because I fall asleep to your YouTube vids on our TV at night. Wait, you guys are sleeping in the same room and you're falling asleep to the TV, but like she doesn't even listen to it at all? Or she also does that to fall asleep? Like, for example, I had a similar situation like with my previous girlfriend. We would sleep in the same bed and she would like I would listen to podcasts. I have to listen to podcasts as I go to sleep. It's kind of similar to how you listen to my... We're very similar in that way probably. But I just like used one earphone. Like I would lay on my right side and have like my left earbud in because I didn't want her to have to listen to something she doesn't care about. You know, I feel like she would fucking hate that. Bro, that's crazy that your wife is just forced to listen to me as she goes to sleep. That's insane. That's fucking crazy. When I go to the gym and go hard, I listen to Tettles to piss me off and get me going. It increases lift numbers big time. That's not true. You guys are fucking full of shit. It's a good bit, though. There's no way that's true. I hate Tettles so much, he's unreal. No, you don't, man. Why would you hate Tettles, man? He's just a dude on the internet that's just giving his opinions, just like me and everyone else. Like, so, like, it's hard to hate people like that because if you ever... Like, let's just say you completely disagree with his opinion. Then you would just, like, not listen to him. So you would never have the opportunity to hate him because you would just... The logical thing would be to just be like, okay, I don't like this guy's takes. I'm going to listen to someone else or something. You know? What is it? He's just wrong constantly and omega confident about it. The worst two things you can have at the same time. Being wrong and confident about it. Yeah, but he doesn't think he's wrong. And also, sometimes if you think he's wrong, that's subjective, right? You just disagree with him. That's all I'm saying. Someone said, I have a guildie who hates Dratnos immensely. Okay, well, that doesn't even make sense. How can you hate Dratnos? Dratnos is like one of the most likable people ever. He's super nice. He has frequently very good takes, although that is subjective. Okay, I could kind of see it. Like, okay, so I think a lot of liking or disliking someone comes from the fact that whether you think they're authentic or not, right? Like, someone could just be saying something, but if you think they're full of shit, then you're going to hate them. But, like, that's just whether you think that they're full of shit or not. So, like, I guess if maybe the thing with Dratnos is if you had convinced yourself that, like, it's all an act and he's not really nice and it's all just, like, a bit or something. I mean, it's not true, but I could see that being the case. And that's not complicated. You could just assume that about anyone and then just think they're fake and not like them. Oh, he actually answered. He hates Dratnos because he doesn't like when people use his routes since there are some big pulls and then it screws his keys a lot. Does he know that Dratnos hasn't made dungeon routes in like 3 years? So he's just fucking just cursing this man's name and he's doing nothing. You ever secretly dislike someone because they're so damn good looking? That's you with Dratnos. Oh, he's too cool. You know? He's just oh, he's so fucking cool. I can't. God, fuck that guy. There's a guy on my hockey team, on one of my hockey teams who's kind of like that, but I don't actually secretly dislike him, but we like joke all the time that we're just like, fuck that guy. He's like a really good player. He's like 6'7". He is ridiculously attractive. Like, he's a wedding photographer, but he like probably should just be like a model. Like, dude's jacked, looks insane, and just every time he does something good on the ice, like has a nice goal or something, I'm just like, fuck this guy, man. You know, like on that kind of shit. But like, it's obviously a joke. I don't actually dislike him. That's the whole potty see with Venruki. Yeah, Venruki's like that. Like Venruki's like always has good takes. Super good looking. Goes fucking. He like posts pictures on Twitter, like in nature. Fucking get out of here, man. What are you? Get the fuck out of here. You hike? Okay, cool, man. You think you're better than us, huh? I'm mad. Max, someone told me, has anyone ever told you that you look like the singer from We Came as Romans? Definitely Google it. Is this one of those things where you guys are slandering me indirectly? No, I don't. I don't look like that guy at all. And this isn't even one of those slanderous things because he just looks like a normal dude, but like, why do you guys do that? Hey, Max, has anyone ever told you look like this guy that you don't look anything like? It's not even fucking close. Like, it's just completely, there's nothing. Like, it's insane. Like, it's a different person. That is so weird. The only person that someone's ever linked me a picture of and they're like, that looks exactly like you, actually is Jorge Masvidal, I think. The UFC fighter. There's a couple pictures of him in the ring where it has like the exact same facial structure. Let me see if I can find a good picture. Like this. Oh no, that's not, I need the image. Open image. Do you see it in the face a little bit? Just specifically the face. Like, I've had a beard similar to this, and like, that's a very similar expression that I would make. I can't find the exact picture, but someone has a picture of him in the ring, and it's like an expression I do all the time, and Jet used to link it to me all the time. We can see it in the Ford Ranger guy. Oh, I forgot about that. Can't try to kill a Ford fucking Ranger. Come on, Honda. Or was it Ford? Come on, Ford, hook me up. I'll even take a certified pre-owned. That show's good. Has there been any Haruma Red X videos recently? I don't know. I know there's a Jack video I want to watch, but we can do that in a little bit. We're recording podcasts later, so I am not gonna be streaming for super long, but let's see. I can check. Haruma Red. His last video low-key kind of pissed me off. Oh yeah, it was the top 10 strongest Legion legendaries. That was the last one we reacted to, except that they were like a few of them were never used by anyone, and they were bad. Max 100%. You look like this guy, I swear on my mama. All right, let's see if I'm being slandered or if you're actually being serious. Oh, you just linked a picture of me. Cool. Cool, man. Good bit. All right, automatic Jack. Here's the one I wanted to watch. It was like, hey, is healing better this expansion? I kind of want to watch that shit. How good will Season 2 dungeons be? Maybe good, but specifically, we've watched like a multiple episode series and we've talked a lot about like how healing has changed a lot in this game and like what healing looks like now versus what healing used to look like. And it's just like an update on that. It's also like a very big part of the conversation that we've been driving, which is like this game has too much defensive power. And that's like personal defensives need to kind of be pruned or like reduced in their potency, because there's just like when you have an infinite amount of tools to delay or to reduce damage, the only way to really challenge you is to make the upfront damage super huge. But then like proactively using cooldowns is really difficult. And it also makes healing like bursty rather than like being able to heal people up over time. But I also don't know how healers feel about healing in this expansion. I know a lot of the issues within Dragonflight, which is usually when we talked about this, but... Healing is shit. You know what? I think even in the scenario where WoW healing is shit, I think it still windmill dunks on healing in any other MMO rating PvE game. Like Dungeons and Raid. It's still just like infinitely better than any alternative. But there has been better versions of it within this game. So sucks is relative. Healing and tanking is just not rewarding gameplay. That's subjective, man. You can... Like, I think when you're healing in Raid, when content is really hard on, like, a really hard healer boss, and, like, you actually have good synergy with the other healers, and they're all pulling their weight, and you're able to do something by, like, trial and error and moving things around, and then, like, you kill a boss, and, like, somehow you keep everyone alive, I think that is probably maybe the most rewarding and challenge. It's certainly the most challenging thing anyone's doing at this level. Like, it's definitely rewarding. It's really cool. What is it when my group says, how the fuck did we live that? It's rewarding to hear. Yeah. I don't know what you're saying, but I'm a just true W. That's what I need from you guys, man. Stop thinking about what I'm saying. Really? Just let me say it. Just let me say shit sometimes. And then just be like, so true. So smart. So wise. And then like throw a W in there. That's cool. That's what I need. That's the relationship we have. You know? Come on. So sexy? No, not stuff like that. No. Fucking no. We are in a cult though. Max, please lobby for increased gilded crest drops. When have I not done that? I've brought that up so much. We're not a sex cult. No. What did you just... I swear to you, there's nothing quite like the feeling of dirt beneath your claws and the soft glow of the headlamp as you delve deeper into the earth. It's like coming home, man. I'm a fucking mole person in a world full of sky gazers. While they're... This is so I'll just keep reading. I'm already halfway. While they're all about riding birds and swimming on land... Wait, what is it? Swimming on land. I'm down here where it's dark, damp, and full of crunchy bugs. Delves? They're my Disneyland. Give me a claustrophobic tunnel, a nasty surprise around every corner, and a boss that's been living in the dark. So, here's what I want to know. I remember seeing that post, like, multiple months ago. And never since then. So how the fuck did you find it, like, right now? Did you have it, like, saved somewhere? Did you type it out natty? Like, give me some lore behind why the fuck you just typed that right now. They just dug it up? Good bit. There's zero chance that he's him and he just typed that all out natty. There's no way. Hey Max, aspiring Windwalker player, do you have any tips for... No. I haven't played Windwalker in a while. I played it a little bit at the beginning of this patch, but no. I don't want to answer that. I'm sure there is information out there. Or maybe I should do what that guy said earlier that he said that he really disliked. Maybe I should confidently speak on things that I know nothing about. Like if someone's asked me a question on how something works, which is my first reaction is I don't really know how that works, and then I move on. But what if I just confidently answered it? Just made some shit up, but really felt like I knew what I was talking about. You could have been halfway through filling the tender progress bar by now. Yeah, but then we wouldn't be having this sweet, sweet conversation. You know? I do want to watch the Jack video, though. I wonder if he gives any, like... I wonder if he gives any callbacks to the other videos to kind of explain where this is coming from. Let's see.
Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Jack. Today I want to talk about how healing has been in the War Within since we've had time to...
Wait, give me 2 minutes. I get a snack, please? Bro, if you're like watching on YouTube or something, you can just like pause it and come back, and then you don't have to wait. Because what if we all don't want to take 2 minutes? Why is Jack so hot? Not gonna lie. Yeah, Jack's a good looking dude. When I first met Jack, he weighed a lot more. And he lost like a shit ton of weight, and he like cares a lot about his nutrition and stuff. It's sick. I have a lot of respect for people who are able to do that. Especially if they don't play sports. Like, for example, I have gotten in really good shape, and I've lost like 40 pounds in the last year playing hockey. And now I'm trying to put on weight. But I don't find that impressive because... I'm just doing that because I'm doing something I find really fun, and that thing that's really fun happens to make me really fit. Right? Like, imagine if you could just play games and that's the thing you're degenerately doing, but like somehow randomly that just makes you in really good shape. That's my relationship to hockey. I don't think Jack did that. I think he like basically just went to the gym and focused on his nutrition, which to me, going to the gym is so fucking boring. That I respect people who just go there and they get all their results in the gym and not by playing a really fun sport. And I'm sure people find the gym fun and stuff, but like, yeah, I don't know. I have a lot of respect for that. Like for me, it feels like I'm cheating. Like I didn't play hockey with the intention of losing weight. It just like happened. Had nothing to do with why I wanted to do it. So it's like, it feels like it was just extra. Okay, let's get in there.
To get near full gear, to be able to experience the full raid, to experience some of the highest levels of Mythic Plus, and a lot of pug healing along the way. So in this video, I want to talk about the 3 different aspects that...
Wait, Jack puts this video out in 4K? That's so extra. Why are you so extra, man? Let me turn the sound up. I have to play and then do the extension.
How healing usually ends up feeling. There is going to be the spec design for how your specific specialization is playing, which can always vary if it's going to be strong or weak, of course. There's the class design where you are thinking about the utility or the defensive power and some of the things that all classes are bringing into the table. And we're going to talk about the encounter design, how they've been adjusting raid fights, Mythic Plus fights, and really updating them for the future.
All right, so I'm going to pause right now, and I'm going to completely derail from what he's talking about because I noticed something and now I can't stop thinking about it. I think people who have either the like copy and paste UIs or they set up their own Omni CDs to track all of these buttons, I think should majorly think about removing most of them. Because I think there's value in Omni CD of having them be bigger and having them be a button you actually need to know if it's up and care about. Right? Like something that could be good as a healer is knowing if this DK has IBF, or if he has AMC, or if this evoker has Zephyr. But like there's a little too many, like, yes, it's important, I guess, to know maybe when like knowing if they have poison cleansing totem spect, or like their earth grab totem and like their slows and shit, but like, are you really ever going to call something based on that? Or is even knowing that they have it off cooldown ever something you're going to parse in real time, like in your mind? I think the answer is like, probably, I would say about maybe 25-30% of these buttons, maybe more, but at least 25 to 30%, I would guarantee that in a key, you have never actually looked there for that reason, and you're actually tracking something that doesn't matter. And by doing that, you like teach yourself to ignore areas of the screen. So then the stuff you're actually tracking and caring about, you're like teaching yourself to ignore at the same time. Like basically you should have stuff on there only that absolutely matters and then nothing else. Maybe there's like a streamer thing where like maybe the viewer wants to, like you as a player aren't going to do that because you're in the game playing, but maybe as a viewer, you are actually like kind of looking at those things. Maybe that's the thing. But that would definitely be a streamer debuff. That would be making your UI better for watchability, but I think it would actually make you a worse player, even though pretty meaning... Anyways, that's not even what this video is about, but I think about that kind of stuff a lot.
Adjusting raid fights, Mythic Plus...
What is it? Wouldn't you want to only track kicks and stuns and defensives and team utility? Kicks, yes. Even stuns, if you're not... If you aren't the person calling CCs, or if you barely have any CCs, like... I think as a healer, a lot of time on packs, you're like healing what's happening and you know what damage is supposed to go out. But like, I doubt a lot of healers are like, while they're healing and playing the game and doing as much damage as they can, they're like, okay, I know this next thing's going to be stopped and I know who's doing it, unless someone's calling it. And then like, I know this is happening. Oh wait, no one's going to stop this next one. I need to like heal these next things. You're kind of just like reacting to it as it happens. Like that's like some fucking 4-dimensional crazy shit that is not true is that thing. Like seeing that far ahead, usually that's not actually like I feel like as a healer it's really important to know when your group has defensives. If you have a kick, I think it's important to have an interrupt tracker. And then probably niche stuff, like if like this tank shows his stone form icon, that's super important for dispels on some stuff. But I think most other stuff in raid defensives, maybe some very niche utility that like hard carries healing, like poison cleansing totem specifically as a healer is probably really important. But like these slow totems, like there's actually no way. It's good for replay review. Very true. Yes. But yeah.
Fights and really updating them for the future. So really quick, if you didn't play in Dragon...
How do you always manage to pause these videos to make this person look as goofy as possible? Okay, he does look kind of goofy right now. Dude, okay. I think when you just pause videos when people are actively talking, it's just like when they're talking at full speed, it looks normal. But like if you were to ever stop at any point, sometimes their mouths open weird and they're...
Flight, there were a ridiculous amount of problems across all three of these factors, from having lots of defensive cooldowns on like the class side, which led to the encounter design over buffing mechanics dealing way more damage if they were not interrupted, or you didn't have a single mitigation tool up to reduce some of that incoming damage. Things were way spikier. They also had a lot of cooldowns for a variety of healers getting added into the mix, since they were bringing in a lot of like Shadowlands legendaries, putting them into the Dragonflight talents. People had more cooldowns than ever. And
yeah, actually, I think Preservation Evoker might be the best designed class in this entire game, or spec. But I think them making Dragonflight healing the way it was, where like you just needed cooldowns for everything, and then just releasing a healer that has like a really cool way to do it, but also kind of infinitely more cooldowns than everyone, like more coverage, I guess, for small damage events, I think it's probably made it really hard for them to do their job, because just it was so clear at the beginning of last expansion that like those healers just didn't have that many tools. They kind of fixed it a little bit with the talent trees because they were able to like just give people more buttons, but I don't know if that was actually the best solution. Like I remember watching healing in, I think it was like Legion or BFA, and I was thinking of like Restra Druid healing, where, you know, they have like hots out on the group, but the group's never really topped, but like basically they could heal a dungeon without cooldowns, and it was purely about like their like life bloom and wild growth management on top of keeping hots on everyone, and it was like clearly like important gameplay and every button mattered, but it was just less bursty, and that seemed really cool. But like also the game like kind of has to get harder, and they've just chose the way for it to get harder is making it more bursty. But that's like the least fun way of something being hard, you know? Massive, big, spiky damage. But also, a lot of the issue is people are much better at Mythic Plus, so they're pushing into higher and higher keys they wouldn't have been able to time before, and then the difficulty like almost solely becomes an infinitely scaling game mode, things that are going to one-shot you. There's a lot more responsibility in the DPS to hit CDs for the healer to be efficient. I mean, healers will tell you that like healing like a 15 is usually a lot easier than healing like a 10, because in a 15 you, even though it's higher damage, you know when the damage is coming out, and the people at that level are like much more likely to get kicks and not stand in things, whereas like if you're healing like a lower level key, there's a lot less damage, but also there's a lot more standing in things and a lot more casts going off, and it's just much more random.
And it led to a lot of bloat around some cooldowns not feeling as strong, not feeling as powerful. I think Paladin in particular is still a pretty good example of that, where you have a number of different cooldowns that still feel kind of weak.
Dude, stay mad, Driney.
And
you have no
course,
cooldowns.
Stamina matters an incredible amount. This is a chart that was made by Tell, and this has been kind of linked to me periodically every expansion.
What is this chart? Who's Tell? Telegon?
Highlighting
that doesn't sound like something Tell would make, or Telegon would make. Also, I've never heard someone call him Tell, so it's definitely a different Tell. Sorry, what is this? So, boss, normal raider HP, max healer HPS, the regular HPS, and then compared to Sepulcher. Why is Sepulcher the comparison? Was that the... Oh, wow, that's super interesting. Look at that. So max HPS back then was like way more. What? So this is like a third, or it's max HPS was way less relative to people's HP, right? That's actually a pretty good way to look at it. I mean, that's almost a direct cut of information straight from the perceived problem, right? Like the. If you look at a Sludge Fist raid frame versus like any hard boss recently, huge difference, even though they're both very, very hard bosses and kind of recent. Wow, that's crazy. What's crazy to me is it has like linearly gone. Is this linear? Is this intentionally linear? No. Okay, it's okay. They're ranked by this. Okay, I thought, dude, I'm so stupid. I thought they were basically listing raids. They were listing raids. Like, basically this was sorted by when raids came out, because I saw Nerebar at Palace at the bottom, and I just like briefly saw like some old ones at the bottom. And that would have been crazy if this linearly went. But when I'm looking at it roughly, it does seem kind of linear. Like a little bit. Like just roughly looking at these, Warlords of Draenor, BFA, Legion, BFA, Legion, BFA, Legion. Yeah, Warlords of Draenor. I would actually like to see this same list just ordered by like when these raids came out, and I think that would tell a lot too.
Health of players, and then their average sort of HPS relative to that health pool. What I've said in the past is that healers feel strong or weak depending on how quickly they can push up a health bar. But encounter design plays a big role in that as well, because if you can push up health
looks like
bars
that's what
fast,
the thing on the bottom is.
You might
yeah.
have more rot damage or more negative healing absorbs to make up for these sort of things. And so, as you can see, not every fight is going to be perfect. They're sort of meant to be some of the more like rot-oriented, consistent damage sort of encounters. So on Kai'Veza, for example, you have about 2.5 times the health of the max HPS. And so, as you can see on the chart, we're pushing up health pools at around the same pace as we were in both Emir Drasil, Aberrus, Vault of the Incarnates, and as well Sepulcher of the first ones. That was also the peak of like defensive and also healing strength.
Was Sepulcher a tier? Was that the first tier that like healing started to feel bad? That kind of makes sense if you follow this graph, because it's like, at least if you think this metric is what makes healing feel bad relative to what it used to be. Because like Castle Nathria Sludge Fist is the example I always use, but like Sludge Fist is what healing is exactly what healing should look like in this game. Like, it's probably never been better. And Sepulcher was 2 raids after that, and look at the difference between Sludge Fist. Sludge Fist is 4.1 and this is 2.4. It's a huge gap, right? Just in 2 raids. That's crazy, right? Like, that's in such a short time. And then since then, it's been like, I could tell you that the game has felt the way healing wise since Vault. I haven't really thought about Sepulcher, but that's how it's felt. And you can tell that in the thing. Like, look at this, 3.3 Sanctum of Domination. Look at this, Castle Nathria 4.1, Sanctum of Domination 3.3, and then since Sepulcher it's been down to 2.4. So like, in that amount of time, it just did all of this. That's fucking insane.
For the end of the expansion, and so usually you'll see a lot of the things in this chart highlighting end of expansion encounters being much higher up on this list, or having a lower number, I guess you could say, whereas other things will sort of slow down. Notably, healing in Blackrock Foundry, Battle for Dazar'alor, Hellfire Citadel was a lot slower, and so it took a lot longer for healers to sort of push up health bars. And so if there's a huge raid-wide hit, it would take the entire raid worth of healers,
look at this.
10,
look at this.
15 it would
look at this. It's crazy to look at this. Like if you're a healer, maybe as a DPS player you don't notice it as much. If you're a healer and you're looking at raid frames, these are dreadful, ugly raid frames, by the way. Kind of subjective, and who cares? But like, just looking at the way people are taking damage,
healers to sort of push up health bars, and so if there's a huge raid-wide hit, it would take the entire.
And then it's here. Like right now in current raid, if you aren't topped like within 1 second of this, you feel like you're instantly dead.
Raid worth of healers.
But like, look, you just
10,
slowly heal them, and that's just fine.
Fully topping
Healing just doesn't look like that now. It's so much chunkier every time.
Everybody off. The game has absolutely accelerated a lot since then. That being said, I think they've made a lot of good improvements, and I really like.
See, now I don't think that Ansurek felt that shitty of a fight for healing. I guess there were a lot of big damage bursts, but there's a lot more fights in Amirdrasil that felt shitty to heal.
How healing has been adapting.
Looking at it, at least.
Within.
I look at raid frames all the time.
3 different points that they have going on right now, I would say spec design is in a pretty good spot. Obviously, I like how Disc is feeling in a key environment. It's been a little bit rough in raids, but I like how most of the healers have been playing as I've been working on my alt journey. I think that the class design is really where I would focus on like the defensive strength for different specs. And at this point, I think there's still way too much defensive power, which then goes into the encounter design aspect, where I'd actually give them a pretty high rating, like an A or an A- or something along those lines. Class design.
Is this more of a healing issue or a damage and fight design problem? Well, those are the same thing, right? Like, what healing is in this game is fight design. They are designing damage for you to heal. So, like, your entire interaction with healing is almost purely based off of boss design. They're the same thing.
I'd probably give them like a C or something. But encounter design has really adapted well to all the defensive strength that they've been giving to people. As much as I'd wish they'd sort of prune down and reduce the amount of defensive cooldowns everybody has, I don't think people should be having 3 or 4 different sources of defensive strength for them.
Facts.
With that being said, the amount of heal absorbed, the additions of rot damage on a number of different encounters have felt really good on raid fights. And I will say, in a Mythic Plus environment, there's a bit too much of the same type of healing profile where it's just like burst AoE every single time. It is really fun having some encounters with some like rot damage and some ticking damage, but there's moments where it feels like a little bit too short, like in City of Threads, where you get the splice debuff dealing damage to everybody, and then there's the big stomp, or then there's the weave. It's fun to be healing that steady amount of damage, but it doesn't really last very long.
Yeah.
Not everyone's healing experience is going to be the same, of course, with class, spec, and encounter design being wildly different among a few different areas, particularly when you have to be healing in stressful pug environments. To help reduce some of this stress, I like to take advantage of Factor's delicious.
Oh, what a fucking... Guys, we can appreciate a good segue. Slipped it in there, right in the encounter design portion. Didn't even make its own thing. You got... Let's just appreciate someone that's just good at what they do. let's take this shit here.
And encounter design being wildly different among a few different areas, particularly when you have to be healing in stressful pug environments.
And what helps stress, Jack?
To help reduce some of this stress, I like to take advantage of Factor's delicious ready-made meals. Factor's meals are so
God, we might even watch this whole damn thing just because of that. What's the code? Jack 20 or something?
Or when I just feel a little bit fatigued of having the same
little
things
Jack
that I've been
20
cooking over and over again. They have an ever-changing menu with a crazy amount of options.
Oh, you got B-roll?
Over and over again.
You got B-roll of the Factor meals?
Ever-changing menu with a crazy amount of options that
Yo, by the way,
take advantage of.
It looks
Quickly
exactly like
have
that.
At your door, ordering between 4 and 18 meals a week.
It comes with the woman too, when you buy Factor.
So choose, allowing you to
She
pause
helps-
whenever
she
you
helps
want.
make it.
Have some delays, especially in the holiday season, can be so insanely convenient, and it's a great way to make sure that you're eating right. Personally, from my own weight loss journey back from Shadowlands, the biggest challenge I had when I got started was cooking.
Yeah, true.
My own weight loss journey back from Shadowlands.
W Jack, you can see it in the face, bro. He lost so much weight.
Challenge I had when I got started was cooking and being able to have some extra meals on hand to help weave between some of the times where you don't feel as energetic to really be cooking has helped me a ridiculous amount. So get rid of the hassle of prepping, cooking, and cleaning up, and check out Factor today. Huge thank you to them for sponsoring today's video, and you can use my link in the description down below to get 50% off and free shipping on your first Factor box, and 20% off your next month worth of orders. Huge thank you to Factor for sponsoring this video, and let's continue. So the big changes that Blizzard was making going into the War Within to start making things better started with a huge increase to our total stamina going into the expansion. It was a 60% increase to our total stamina compared to a Mirdrasil, ballooning our health into like 6 and 7 million very, very rapidly. And I expect
Does that bother you guys? Just the general idea of, you know, like the crazy scaling with numbers and like, does it matter to you if someone has 1,000,000 HP versus like 1,000, or if you're doing 2 million DPS or 2,000 DPS? Does that stuff like take you out of it? There's a few people that are saying yes. It doesn't matter to me at all. It just feels like it's all the same, you know? There's probably, I mean, there's a level to that, right? Like if we had 2 billion health, like, I don't know, there's probably a number out there that's just like a little too much. But I don't know if I've ever played and ever like actually been playing the game and cared about it. That's all.
Trend to really only continue as we're going into the expansion. Making health pools higher allows them to sort of slow down damage and to make it a bit less bursty, and a huge factor of the damage being very bursty is both cooldowns on like the class spec design side and defensive cooldowns from the class design perspective. The more defensives that players have access to, the more the encounter designers are tuning damage to be incredibly bursty. And even going back and watching like old footage from prior expansions, it's amazing as to how much more challenging they've made healing overall. Not only are they adding more mechanics than ever before that need to be healed, and not just healing through miss kicks, but still having to do that, but
what is it? It's insane to me that in this season, bad players do like 600k DPS while others can do like 20 mil on the same pull. That's not like a this season thing. Some people just... You know what? I wish someone would study that. Because like I think for a lot of people that can play WoW at a decent level, and there's like, I mean, there's so many of these people. It's not just people in top guilds. There's millions of WoW players probably that over time have like, whenever they played the game, they played at an adequate level. Like they would go into a dungeon or a raid and not get embarrassed by someone else, right? Like there's people who just get it. Whatever it is, they get it. But yeah, a lot of people haven't. You know, I wonder what makes that the case, you know? Like, there's just some part of it you don't understand. It just seems, once you get used to it, it just seems so formulaic. Like, you could log into any class and you just can kind of, like, read one thing about the general rotation, hit the dummy for a little bit, and you can kind of just feel where all your damage is coming from, you know? Even though the classes kind of play really differently. But some people just straight up... I mean, I can tell you from when I used to do coaching... and we do a bunch of coaching in Liquid now, but I haven't done it in years. But I can tell you that probably 9 out of 10 people that I coached that actually needed coaching or were people that were like, you know, not really doing a lot of damage. Like, I'd say like maybe 1 out of 10 people would like be a pretty good player and they just wanted to get a little bit better, which I really respected. But like most people were like, dude, I'm in a dungeon and I can't do any damage. And it is just simply not pressing globals. DPS, tanks, you just like watch them play and they're just like, they just don't press something every global. It's like a little delayed, or you can tell they're like processing things maybe a little slower, so they're like not. So like like probably the number one step to people getting better is just straight up using all of like your ABCs, right? Always be casting. Like no matter what you're doing, you're doing something at all times. There's a global going, you know. And then I think outside of that, it's just understanding like a simple resource system. Like most classes in this game can be boiled down to you spend one resource and then that generates another resource and then you dump that resource. Like as long as you play most classes in this game, I'm not saying at the highest level, like there's some really hard specs, but as long as you are pressing something every global and you have a somewhat general understanding of not overcapping resources in either one of your resource pools, then there's usually 2 of them. Healers are different. You will do not, you won't be embarrassed. Like you'll go to a dungeon and do well. You know, if you play with someone who's like really fucking good, maybe they do like way better than you, but like you're not going to be like in the group and people are like, oh, that guy can't be in this key, you know? Like it's just, it really feels like it is that simple. But it's, for a lot of people, it's probably just how quickly they can process that information.
On top of that, while they haven't made tanks so wholly dependent upon like kiting forever, I've seen some kiting happen here and there. Of course, in my own high key environment, I definitely notice having to heal the tanks a bit more often, especially when I'm in a pug group. You have the additional challenge of trying to push up everyone's health pools quickly in addition to the tanks, and when you're not a healer like Disc, which can heal everybody equally, you know, whenever I'm playing like my shaman or my paladin or even my monk lately, as I've been experimenting with that too, it's very noticeable at times that I need to make sure I have extra focus and extra attention being given to the tank, since those tank nerfs have made them not invincible the way that they were in Dragonflight. They even had an interview going into the new expansion where they were specifically asked about the bloat of defensives, and nothing really seems to be on hand or on deck for them to be making changes, because it basically just involved pruning, and I know a lot of people hate that word with a passion, and they definitely did when a lot of widespread pruning was happening back in Warlords of Draenor. I think that the Dragonflight talent trees give them a really good opportunity to make more choice nodes for not fully getting rid of all of these defensives, but to make you actually have to choose between the situations for when you have access to them. I'm still just surprised they haven't been trying to mix any of those things in, and in some ways they've kind of made it a little bit worse with the hero talents. While I think that they've done a really good job overall, and obviously there's still some dead hero talents for everybody, I think that the way they've added on to the...
What's the right place to land with hero talents? Like a reasonable, practical landing place. Like, I'll give an example. Do you think mid removing them? You're not understanding what I'm saying. They're not removing them. I'm not saying whether they're mid or not. I'm saying, okay, so would it be a success if every hero talent was viable and you could choose either one of them all the time? That would be optimal. I think that's completely not practical, probably impossible, like literally impossible to do. And that will probably never happen. Maybe it'll happen for some classes. So like, what's the practical point you're shooting for with those? It's got to be something like there's no hero talents. Like Blizzard's goal should be that none of the hero talents are horrible. They can all kind of be suitable. If you really wanted to be a rider of the apocalypse, even though the other one's better, like you could do all the content and not, it wouldn't be terrible. Because I think theme just matters so much for those. that kind of means that they all have to be kind of generic and kind of not like some are good at one things and some are good at another, at least without going too far into those niches. Because like if you do it like, oh, this one's for AoE, this one's for single target, that's too basic, and then it's like, I don't know, like, what is it? They shouldn't fix a major flaw with the spec. That should really be handled by the class trees. Yeah, yeah, of course. I just, it's practical to have balanced power between classes. No one would complain so much if class balance was good, no bugs everywhere, etc. I think class balance in this game is like a pipe dream in anything other than like single target or something really close to it. This game has famously been tuned really, really well for single target, but as soon as you get into cleave, the game just presents simply too many variables of what kind of damage you can be doing and how good each class is at each specific thing, that without turbo homogenizing the game, which I do think would be a bad thing, I think the game is always just kind of going to be a little unbalanced. But I also don't think that matters unless you create a system in the game to where like you really, really care about your tuning. So like an example for this is like if you're just a raid only player, let's say you pug, you're not even in a guild, you pug. Bro, if you have the eye level and the boss kills, you're getting into any of these groups. It doesn't matter what class you are, because raid has presented a situation where you can have up to 30 players in heroic and you want one of every class. And because of that, even though the balance in raid isn't perfect, you're not sitting there for an hour trying to get into a raid group, you know? Where dungeons, I think the main reason why balance feels so bad is because they've created an impossible scenario where clearly there's almost 40 specs in this game, and there's like a list of maybe 5 to 10 of them that people really want in keys because they're like a little bit better. And if there's some seasons where it's like a little bit better balance, maybe it's like 12, 13, 14, and those feel really good because more people feel like they're getting invited. It's that simple. But like the problem, I think, is less balance, because I truly think like perfectly balancing a Mythic Plus environment is like it's complete nonsense. Like it's probably impossible. And just the system that they've set up in the group finder and WoW and how the community has interacted with it has made it so you're only happy about the game balance if your class is considered one of the ones that gets invited, which is like less than 20% of all the specs in the game. So 80% of the people think the balance is bad all the time. The problem is the way you interact with getting groups in Mythic Plus. And you can kind of tell because raid is kind of the same way, but just because of the group size and there being way less of a stigma against certain classes or a like favoritism towards other ones, it just plays totally differently. And I don't know how they fix that, but they gotta, that's the main thing. I don't think the balance in this game is that bad at all. It's more the way you interact with it.
Game has been really good and really fun.
Was it you can hit 3k IO on any spec regardless of balance? That's true, but that doesn't mean it isn't harder to get on some than others, or it's your queue time, right? Like, oh, because of my spec, my, in quotes, queue time is 40 minutes of getting declined from keys and finally getting into one if I don't push my own, versus other specs, their queue time is virtually instant. That's stupid. Right?
That being said, a lot of them are also adding more defensive strength, which kind of continues to make the problem a little bit more challenging if they're not constantly buffing up health pools going into every new season. I do expect that to be something they're going to be doing. Notably, they were doing that in the beginning of Dragonflight into Aberrus, and then they opted really not to do it going into a Mirdrasil, although the additional eye level that we had was also just ballooning up our stamina on hand. I think that one of the best ways they can do it is
Wait, one second. Someone in chat said they need
buff that we're now
they need to incentivize listing your own keys, like removing depletion for restarting. Yeah, there's a lot of anti-deplete arguments, but doesn't that not matter? Like, if they just incentivize people to list their own keys more, that shouldn't really change anything, right? Because no matter who's starting the key, it's one person's key and 4 other people are joining them. So if they're incentivizing more people to start their keys, there's just going to be more groups in the group finders that don't get filled up, and then those people find themselves joining other people's keys. That's just... yeah.
accumulating to make the raid fights easier and actually make it more about like a health increase, maybe even making it like a damage and a health increase, because it feels like the healers are strong enough. Players just need more time to survive the hit and have the healers get a little bit more breathing room to really push up those health pools. So I hope that that's an area that they start looking at, especially from like a raiding environment. From an M+ environment,
Yeah, I'm really interested in M+
a lot of the
healing.
boss fights are really fun. I don't know about you guys, but it's so noticeable doing a Shadowlands dungeon versus going into some of the War Within dungeons, where you might go into Mists or Necrotic Wake, and a lot of trash pulls, they'll have a mob like a Throw Flesh mob or a charge from any of the defenders in the Mists maze. They might have like this burst of damage here or like miscasts there, but it's night and day difference between having to fight the regular mobs in War Within dungeons, which are spewing out dots left and right.
Yeah. I mean, I know why they're doing it, though. And from what I can tell from people who do Mythic Plus a lot, it sounds like this hasn't gone well. But, like, they want the trash to just not feel like trash that's doing nothing. Like, when you're fighting a boss, a lot of dungeon bosses are designed really well. And it, like, totally makes sense, everything that's happened. It makes sense to heal. There's, like, mechanics happen at a certain time. It turns out when you can design an encounter, no matter what that encounter is, fighting trash, fighting a boss, and you can design as a fight designer when things are going to happen, you can create a really cool thing that's fun to complete. Right? But, like, what the problem you're presented with is they give you a trash pack that has these mechanics, and like last expansion, you just found a way to stop all of them. And if any of them went off, you just died. So like everything was just about stops. So clearly that needed to get fixed. So they were like, okay, let's make stops less OP. Let's make it so you have to actually kick them. Let's put power back in your interrupts. That was the reason behind why these dungeons have a lot more going on. And I think that's a totally reasonable thing to try to fix. Interrupts seem like they have zero value, and Tail Swipe stops 5 things at once. 10 times better than Interrupt, right? Way better. So yeah, I understand why they do it. Dude, I honestly, I know this is like a cook I've had for a while, but I wish they would just make a dungeon where you couldn't stop anything. Because then at least they could show us what they want to have happen. Like, what do you want a trash pull to look like, Blizzard? Because so many good groups stop everything, and their trash pull looks totally different than a group in a +5 that every single thing is going off, and it seems like the world is falling around you. You know? There's no consistent... Like, think of applying that to a raid fight. Like, think about if you're a good guild and you're fighting a raid fight and the boss does nothing, but if you're not as good, the boss has infinite mechanics. That would be fucking stupid, right? That's what every trash pull is. It's all of them because of that, right? I would just love to see, when you know you have to deal with these and you can't stop this stuff, what Blizzard actually thinks is a reasonable amount of things to happen on a trash pack. Because I don't know if anyone actually knows the answer to that. Because there is no consistency onto exactly what you deal with. Except for like the few things that they make it obvious that you need to kick them. You know, like the really obvious cast that like basically the cast says like you will die if this goes off, you know. But there's like 10 times more things than that.
Regular AoE damage onto everybody. It's so much more active healing that you have to do, which can be really fun, but you're also kind of playing on this razor's edge of all of the kicks required in the dungeons, and if something else goes wrong, if somebody else kind of fails in their responsibility, then you're left to pick up the pieces, and it goes from being engaging around unavoidable damage, which feels good, to trying to deal with the avoidable...
Like, basically, Blizzard has just seen it now, where if you pull a pack like this, and then you basically can, either through the use of buttons or due to the lack of mechanics they have, where you just tank a bunch of these things, you heal the tank through it, and then the pack just kind of dies, and then you do that again. Blizzard, I think there's players that are like, that's fine for trash. I think people definitely feel like they'd rather have that than what they have this season, even though there's probably somewhere in between where it doesn't get repetitive. But Blizzard clearly is like, that's not challenging enough, but it's like literally bad game design. Like, if we're just giving you trash in these dungeons, which is like the majority of the dungeon, and none of them feel unique from each other, like they want these pulls to feel unique and a different challenge to overcome them. Like, And I think from a game design space, that makes a lot of sense. But they have been ramping it really fast. There's definitely some abrasion in the community. There's people, a lot of resistance to it.
Damage, the void zones people step in, the kicks that people miss, and that's where things get really stressful and frustrating, and it's tough to have the agency really to keep everybody alive through those things. Back in Shadowlands, it felt like healers really had to actively be healing in dungeons at lower key levels because just nobody was kicking, and so you could just heal through those missed kicks. And then when you get to higher levels, they would basically just one-shot players, and so the healers went from being the one mitigating and surviving and keeping the team alive through those dots or through those hits going out to everybody mastering it and everyone stopping those mobs, and then you were just there as an additional DPS player. That has definitely changed going into the War Within. I think they've done a really good job making sure that healers actively have to be healing in those high key environments, but they've only done more to make it more challenging to stop all of the mobs, and the avoidable damage, the damage that you can stop as a team, feels like it's also higher than ever, adding more responsibility into the equation for the entirety of the group rather than having more unavoidable damage mechanics that the healer is just always going to be preparing for, something akin to some of like the major mini bosses that have to be fought in areas like Dawnbreaker. I think that those are really good to have in a lot of dungeons because it's damage that you can continuously be tuning, iterating upon, and it's going to happen every single time no matter what. And so it's more important to be playing around those mechanics and around that damage rather than having to coordinate and make sure everybody kicks, stops, and interrupts everything before it just destroys somebody. With 11.
Wait, someone said in Shadowlands every healer could handle the content, so the meta was just who does the most DPS. I liked it, except Ashen. Yeah, except for that button. But is that... Okay. Is that a good thing? I mean, it's a good thing that every healer can handle the content. I would like to say that's been true most times I've done Mythic Plus. Now, I think that's not true this season because I think there's like a few dungeons that I remember that are like super curse reliant. So, like, if you don't have a way to deal with curses as a healer, like, it's kind of fucking cooked. That seems like a this season thing. There's been a few examples of that in the past, but it's kind of rare. But that should be the goal. Like, every healer... I mean, well, every healer can heal a plus 10 of everything, which is Blizzard's main goal, because that's, like, where you get the portals and stuff. That's where most people stop. But... I would actually... That would be an interesting graph to make. If someone could just look at, like, the highest keys done that season, or, like... 20 through 30 or now 10 through 20 since they changed the system, and just be like, what healers were capable of healing the keys at this level in this season, and actually seeing the difference. Ugh. And by the way, there's 4,000 Pally tanks versus 150 Brewmasters above 3k rating. Yeah, that's not abnormal though. That's kind of happened forever. Like, all of Mythic Plus has had some situations like that. There's been some seasons where it's been a little bit more close, but I mean, you can go through the eras of Mythic Plus, and there's always, especially tanks and healers, where it's like majorly dominated. Right now, Pallies have a lot of extra stuff though. Pallies are a weird tank. Like, it's hard to tune them because if they're ever as good as other tanks, they're just like kind of by default better because they just simply have more tools than other tanks do. They just have more buttons to help your group, like really good buttons too, like really good buttons. And then on top of that, like right now I think they do like insanely good dam, and also this is a expansion where kicks are super important, so like Pally kicks are like super insane.
7 right around the corner that are also going to be adding those rings with sort of the similar Zeskara Vaults vibe to it for some additional power-ups. They also are keeping some of the stats on them, and so this is going to be very interesting to look at because this is also where power creep kind of comes into play, making it so that healers in particular can push up health pools faster, which makes Blizzard accelerate the damage, which makes damage spikier, and then we kind of get back into the mix with Dragonflight
just like that
again.
And I'm fucking mad.
This is a super major concern that I have going forward. Is that if they don't make large-scale changes to like pruning down defenses or making them choice nodes.
I forgot about the spiky health bars.
Keeping stamina high enough over time, or they're not adding like additional stamina to bonus pieces like these rings, for example.
Yo, by the way,
like extra stamina on top.
I've only done this boss like twice, and I've watched it like a few times, but I think this is one of the coolest dungeon bosses they've ever made. Just like the geometry of it, the way the mechanics play to you. I know not 2 target bosses aren't everybody's thing, but everything about this boss, I really like it.
Top of it, so that our health pools are going to continuously increase as we increase in power level. Then we're going to be in a position where we have like all kinds of problems. If you played WoW like way back in the day, I'm thinking in areas like Warlords of Draenor or even early Mist of Pandaria, classes felt awful when they had like no haste or no stats. Some of them were like more crit bound than others, and it was only like the end of the expansion where you'd actually feel like strong. They've done away with that and so heavily accelerated our secondary stats to make us feel good early, which I think is
I've never thought about this. Is that why the game... So we all have talked about defensive pruning, but is it possible that a big reason that it plays like this now is they used to like make you really weak at the beginning of the expansion, so like naturally heals didn't heal as much and health bars didn't go down as much, but now since like they spawn you in with good secondaries, dude, he might be cooking on some shit I haven't heard before. Actually,
and
never
it was
thought
only
about
like
that.
the end of the expansion where you'd actually feel like strong. They've done away with that and so heavily accelerated our secondary stats to make us feel good early, which I think is great. But on the healing side in particular, they need to make sure that they're ballooning up that stamina, because the better we feel, the quicker we push up those health bars, well, then the more bursty damage happens, and then people are just getting wombo combo left and right. Reactive healing in a lot of cases doesn't exist as much anymore, because even those reactive healers have to be like setting up hots in advance, setting up cooldowns in advance, stacking up resources in advance to like pre-cast spells onto people with the idea that they're going to be getting hit by a mechanic or getting hit by a bolt or something, push up their health pools quick, and then be ready for the next hit that's going to be coming around the corner. You don't have as much time to react as the game accelerates and gets more challenging. With larger stamina pools, then you get a little bit of extra breathing room, and you get a bit more time to think through the casts and what you're utilizing. I haven't dabbled too much into classic Cataclysm, but that was always something I remember both from like getting started playing the game and that watching high-end raiders back then, was you had a lot more decision making for what spell you were going to be casting, because yeah, you needed to push up health pools, but you had some time to be able to...
Every healer is a reactive healer now. It's kind of sad, honestly, the homogenization of the role. Proactive. Oh, I see. Yeah. I mean, before it was like disc was that was the proactive healer. Like if you were a disc priest and you didn't like know exactly when the damage is coming out, you're just going to be so cooked. I mean, that's also kind of true now. And then like Spirit Shell made that not a thing, right? With Spirit Shell, you could just kind of just ramp on cooldown and it would probably just get full value. And then now, like, kind of every healer has to be proactive in a way. Probably more in dungeons. I think in raids they still play a little different.
And sort of drive those decisions.
But like Shaman is, right? Like, what about a Shaman is proactive? What, you put out some Earth Shields and some Riptides on some people that matter, but like Riptide's also like a little spot heal. Like pretty much all of Resto Shaman's healing is reactive, right? We just precast chain heal. That's hype. Proactive links are good. Every healer pretty much has to memorize damage patterns for every trash pull and every boss because you don't have time to react anymore. Yeah, that sounds... I could believe it.
Decisions. And that is something that I think that a lot of healing doesn't really have too much of these days. It would be interesting to see you get a bit more of that breathing room and a little bit less of that stress, particularly into Mythic Plus, but also I would say into something like the later heroic fights and even some early Mythic fights as well. But let me know what you guys think, and if you haven't already, make sure you check out our Factor sponsorship. Thanks again for them for sponsoring this video.
Oh, again, Jack, an absolute professional. Jesus Christ. Oh, man. What a pro. W. Dude, Factor better be happy about that. Dude, I haven't done any Factor things in a while. Maybe it's because I don't have that fucking I don't have that shit, you know? I don't have that sauce like Jack has. I'm not that sure it's even possible to get that breathing room again because people are good enough to just push up keys to the point where you need to be proactive again. Yeah, people, that is another part of it. Like, people, the community gets better over time, and then you don't even realize it, and that's why they're doing some of these things. But then, like, you get annoyed that they're adding all these mechanics, but then naturally to keep doing dungeons, you have to just get better at dealing with more things. Like, one thing that I think will be fascinating is people doing Legion Mythic Plus again. And when Legion Classic comes out, which is like a few years from now, probably like 3 years from now, that's going to be... And if people actually go back and play it in droves, like, people are like, dude, I fucking remember when Legion came out, fucking W. I'm logging in, I'm slamming Mythic Plus all day. I think my theory for that is that people are going to get so fucking bored with Mythic Plus. Like, I think it will be... Like, you're just, at least retail players, like, you'll be so used to something different that initially it'll be like, oh, dude, this is what Mythic Plus was great. And then you're going to feel like it's just not as compelling. Legion Classic. At what point does Classic catch up to retail and it becomes pointless? I actually asked Dorky this question on the podcast last week. I asked him... Like... What were we talking about? We were saying... I don't remember exactly what was surrounding this, but I'm trying to remember it because I think it was relevant because of the question I asked. Basically, the question I asked him was, when did retail become retail? Like, where's the dividing line? And more specifically, I think... Fuck, does anyone remember when we were talking about this on the podcast specifically? Because, like, there was definitely, like, a statement he made, and that made me want to ask him it. But there was, like, a very specific thing. Like, he's like, there's some quality of life stuff you should have added into, like, Classic. Like, in Legion, for example, they should add, like, the ping system and all this stuff, because it's like Legion is retail. Then I asked him, like, when do you think retail started? His argument was Kata. Like, Kata was when retail started. As a raider, I think retail started in, like, Mist of Pandaria. I think, like, Heroic Ragnaros was the first taste of it, but, like, basically since Mist of Pandaria, Throne of Thunder, raiding has not made any massive leaps in quality or difficulty. It has probably gotten harder over time, but in a very linear fashion. That's purely just as a raider, though, like raiding specifically. Like, Kata was definitely still the Ancient Ages. Bosses were very different. Tanks didn't even have active mitigation back then. Like, it was just a very different game. The private server players were calling retail even before Classic was a thing. What? My guess is they're testing out Classic refresh to test out sort of Classic cycles. Well, of course, yeah. Yeah. Oh, you guys are thinking like in a literal sense, like when did the game become retail? So you're like, oh, private servers have been calling retail for all of this time. No. I'm like thinking on a deeper level, like not the literal name retail. Like, when did the game become the current version? Because, like, clearly there's a separation from Classic to now, but, like, it hasn't been one, like, straight journey. There's been big jumps at certain point and certain expansions that feel closer to retail than like, Classic. I think Kata or Mop make a lot of sense, but I could even see Legion just because a lot of people didn't play WoD. Because, like, WoD, I think, was pretty retail-y. WoD Blue. I fucking loved WoD. I think WoD is, like, by far the most disrespected expansion. Correct, it's Kata. Kata is when they made the biggest change to the game, when they changed talents, they changed how questing worked, and they changed all the other shit. That's when modern retail was born. Yeah, it's a good argument. It had great rating and pretty much not much else. Yeah. Yeah. But that's what I did. I raid logged. We completed the raids and then we did other shit. And it was perfect for that. I understand why people dislike WoD, but they also play the game, I think, like, very differently than me. I don't know how we played so much WoW before Mythic Plus. You just, like, did more raids on more characters. That's all it was. Like, you would... Yeah, I mean, like, all Mythic Plus is an excuse to, like, gain some rewards while just infinitely playing the game. But back then, the desire to infinitely play the game remained the same. You just, like, kept doing raids. It wasn't as good. Mythic Plus was much better at that because they found a way to, like, reward you for actually doing that. How would you rate / compare a world first kill in Pandaria versus now? Huh? I don't know what you mean. Also, just think of the game in trilogies as the current cycle of the World Soul. Yeah, I mean, clearly, like, Classic through Wrath is a trilogy. Actually, they kind of are in trilogies, aren't they? Like, it's Classic through Wrath, and then Kata through WoD is, like, kind of like the birth of modern retail. And then Legion through Shadowlands were all the, like, borrowed power expansions. And then Dragonflight is kind of on its own. It was, like, the first of an evergreen expansion. And then it's, like, the World Soul cycle. Although, I think the War Within and the War Within has a lot of Dragonflight spirit in it. But I think people would look at it as a trilogy because it's, like, literally dubbed as a trilogy. And we, like, know what the 3 expansions' names are. How come you're not playing Hardcore Classic? I just don't care, man. It doesn't matter to me. Max, are you done with Mythic Plus for the season? Oh yeah, I've been. Bean done. Bean. For you guys who have played Zelda games, is Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess all it is said to be? Okay, can you help me, like, give me an idea of what the game is like? So, like, for example, I've played, like, Ocarina of Time, Wind Waker, Majora's Mask. Those are, like, the older Zelda games, right? And then I'm assuming it's nothing like Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom. It's, like, in between those things. What is it like? Is it like a... Is it, like, more Ocarina of Time style, but... It's Ocarina of Time too. Oh, man, you know how to speak to my heart. Dude, tell me something's like Ocarina of Time it is crazy. But although I have so much nostalgia, I have zero nostalgia for Twilight Princess, and I will not fight the fact that there is plenty of nostalgia going on with Ocarina of Time, even though it's obviously a great game, but basically, it's solid after you stop being a dog, to be honest. The early part of the game is slow and not great. You're a dog? Alright, fuck it. Little spoiler. The only modern Zelda game that's better than it is Skyward Sword. Isn't Skyward Sword the, Isn't that like... They did another dungeon crawler of it? Oh no, it's just the one on the Wii? I mean, guys, I bought a Wii U like a month and a half ago because I wanted to play Twilight Princess, and I just heard that is the best like experience playing it is on the Wii U, because you like can't get it on the Switch and shit, and I didn't feel like emulating it. So I'm gonna be playing it on the fucking Wii U. Stream game? It could be. Dude, I don't know why, but I just, for whatever reason, whenever I start thinking about playing another game, and I'm like, maybe I could stream it, I just don't. I don't know. Just, it's a barrier to cross. I'd have to, like, move the Wii U in here, and I'd have to set up my capture card, and... I understand what I'm saying right now is, hey, guys, to do my job, I have to do something. And that can maybe sound kind of shitty, but... You know, there's, like, chords and stuff, and... Come on. What are we doing here? Also, PoE 2 coming out in 2 days. Yep, I did lay out all of Friday so I can play. I'm like locked the fuck into PoE 2. I will be giving that game worst case scenario a couple hours, and I think like best case scenario, I mean, well, best case scenario is I play it forever and everyone's happy. But like I think likely scenario is I'm at least going to play it for like a day or two. Have you looked at what class you want to play? I think I played the shooter guy in when I played PoE 2 previously. I know Ben and I both played the like shooterman. And I don't think we were able to ascend our classes in that test. But no, I haven't really looked at it. Maybe that's what we do tomorrow, is we figure it out. They fully released what the ascendancies will do yesterday. They are neat. Oh shit, I kind of want to look at that. Zizvid is the way to go. All right, let's do it. We like Zizaran. I've met Zizaran a few times. He's a swell guy. YouTube. Zizaran. All right, what do we got? Oh, I bet the PoE content creators are... This is an exciting time for them, but it's also like a... It's like super exciting, like it's good for you, but also like it's really competitive. Like they all want to be the PoE2 guy. Or as much... They want to get as much of the PoE2 pie as there is to get, if that makes sense. And like some of that will transfer over from PoE 1 for sure, but there's going to be a lot of like newer players, and it's also a new game, and like so they're basically, yeah, they're in like a market share battle. Tier lists are already out in the PoE world. Yeah, I mean, I kind of followed the Fextra Life thing, which I think deserved it. That Fextra Life guy seems like kind of an asshole, or that entire company, or however that works, for what I know of it. But a lot of it was like, I think a lot of the PoE streamers and content creators were really mad because like they're all foaming at the mouth to be the first one to make all this content, and like anyone doing it, and they just feel left out. And I think that was just like those feelings came out, and their viewers were like parasocial for them, and they're like, dude, fuck these guys, fuck this guy. Which makes sense. Like if I'm a WoW creator and like it's my livelihood to create WoW stuff, and like I didn't get access to something and someone else did. I mean, that's happened to me before when I was smaller, and like that, like I made me so mad. It's nuts how dog shit Fextra Life Souls wikis are. Yeah, they're I've only played a few games where I've had to go to Fextra Life's wiki, and every time I've gone in there, I've been just so sincerely disappointed with how bad everything was. It's just the quality is extremely low. Like, I genuinely think if you were to type, like, I don't know, like, best Elden Ring builds or something, right? And then, like, I don't know, maybe Fextra... Yeah, okay, so, like, Fextra Life is down here. Unironically, clicking on PC Games N, which is, like, purely complete dogshit AI-generated crap, right? Every single time it's this bad. It's so bad. It's actually AI. I'm pretty sure it's AI. There's a bunch of them. Usually if you don't get Reddit, things like Game Rant, pieces, it is literally complete garbage. Honestly, they're probably better than this, which is insane. Okay, all ascendancies revealed. Oop, not watching a 30-minute video. Please tell me we have timestamps. Oh boy, might need to find a different video. That's unfortunate. Wait. Oh, wait, is there an update to the drama in the race? Did Frosty... Wait, Frosty's post. He linked the forum post in the description. Yeah, I kind of just want to read. So basically, if you guys didn't hear about it, the Final Fantasy Race World First ended recently. And, okay, I don't want to, like, explain this a lot, but, like, that game doesn't allow add-ons, but also they have no way of detecting it or policing it. So, really, it's like you can use add-ons, but don't get caught because Square Enix doesn't enforce their rules. So they're not really rules. That's how things will always work, right? It's entirely Square Enix's fault. But because of that, all these teams that do the World Race stuff, there's some mods that are used in all of them, and they all know that. But twice now, the team that's won, like, somehow had it leaked that they were using one of them, which is like a super innocuous, not super OP mod or anything, but it's just like a mod. So, like, they were, like, publicly shamed, and, like, another team was granted the world first, even though they're also using mods, and they know that they got beat by that other team. And now this is, like, the second time this has happened, so, like, I guess the person who kind of moderates the Race World First, I'm trying to explain Frosty in, like, WoW terms. I don't think there's anyone really like Frosty. He's like the maester. He's like the keeper of the ancient texts. He's like he's not a world first racer guy, but he was like one of the first ones on the scene to really care about it when it was like in its infancy, and it's just kind of always carried on, I guess. And he like puts on a lot of like content and helps follow the race and like hires casters and stuff. Preach had a long chat about it this morning with chat. Oh, that might be fun to watch. On the Path of Exile main website, the Ascendancy reveals one of the newer threads listed there if you just take a look at this. Okay, I'll probably just look at that in a second. Max, do you still play 14 off stream or anything? No, I would, though. I've actually thought about that a few times, getting like a group of friends together that doesn't play Final Fantasy 14 at all year round, but then just like does the Savages and the Ultimates off stream. That would be fun. Preach doesn't seem to understand what the Final Fantasy plugins do. It was a little weird. Oh, interesting. Maybe I could watch. I just want to read the, like, Frosty thing. Max, what happened to the mole people? No one talks about them anymore. They went back underground. Okay, let's watch the... Let's find the final... Okay, two things. Do we look at the Final Fantasy drama first or the ascendancies? Let's briefly look at the ascendancies. So, PoE2 ascendancies, if I spelled that right. So, it's just on their website. Okay. So, here's what... Okay, so... The Sorceress turns into the Stormweaver. Exposure lowers your resistance by an additional 20%. Elemental Storm has an equivalent recovery rate. I think when they showed these on the video, it was like really like fast-paced. Stormweaver, like very... and then, oh yeah, Chronomancer was the one that could like slow time. I bet this sounds really cool. This sounds like something that wouldn't actually be really fast in an ARPG. Also, maybe I just have like PTSD from playing Sorkin D3, which was really, really fun. I love Sorkin D3, but specifically the worst builds that were ever in that game was the slow time build, and that just gives me these vibes. Warrior, I'm not even going to look at Warrior. Honestly, whenever I'm thinking about playing a game, Warrior is never something that I want to play. It's just like, I don't know, I have like zero class fantasy for this at all. I guess I'm more of like a rogue guy or a monk or some kind of shifty, fast melee guy. Never ranged either, usually. A lot of people want to blast Titan. Yeah, but like, I mean, a lot of people, like Asmongold's a good example of this, right? There's just a ton of gamers that are just like, there's a game that you can play and you can choose any class. I'm going to be the warrior with the giant sword, you know? Although gameplay in PoE would also make sense. Well, I think your ARPGs end up always kind of playing the same. The 50% of small passives are insane. Yeah, that makes sense, right? Because that would be like, by the end of your tree being filled out, there would just be a million of those. But can't you get that as... Oh, is that Titan specific? Warbringer, okay. Let's look at the other ones. So would I really play... Oh, yeah, so Ranger is what I played. We didn't have ascendancies, I don't think, when we played before. Okay, Pathfinder. The Monk. Invoker. Okay, so just by reading, without looking at any of the ascendancies, just by reading the names of the classes, Sorceress, Warrior, Range, Witch, Mercenary, Monk. Bro, I'm like playing Monk almost certainly. I don't know. It just speaks to me. Because I'm a man at peace. Right? That's me. I'm never mad. I am balanced. Everything is in balance. Cool. What is Acolyte of Cholula? Oh yeah, this is like the Dark Monk, right? Doesn't it change your resource into something else and you like... You're a bad boy? Some shit like that? Alright, cool. Alright, I want to read the Frosty thing. Twitter.com. Wait, let's not put that open on screen. Because sometimes randomly when you open Twitter, if you like had DMs open, it'll just like randomly open your DMs. Which, my DMs are not interesting. It's just private. You know? Okay. So... he basically made this tweet saying, give me a little time, but I'll be writing something up about the Final Fantasy world race and its future. This has always been something I've done because I wanted to do it and this community wanted it. Nearly a decade of work, and I'd like to share my perspective and thoughts. Yeah, so like I said before, he's like, yeah, he's like the arbiter of the world first race. He's the GOAT. Okay, let's see what he wrote. Not everyone will be happy, but this is the best way forward. Before we look at this... What is he... He says he's going to give some thoughts, but he said here, I've written up and given thoughts on my perspective and decisions. Not everyone will be happy. So is he, like, going to be making some kind of statement like, you have to stream or you're disqualified, I guess, or like, who's not going to be happy? Okay, let's see. I'm interested. Thanks for another incredible Final Fantasy race. During the last Savage tier, we saw a 20-second difference between teams killing the final boss on stream. This ultimate fight had a kill difference of less than a single pull. Wait, really? That's insane. And for many instances of neck-and-neck attempts on stream as well. It was exciting for myself as well as the entire community that surrounds the event. We were also able to raise more than $20,000 for charity. Children's hospitals. For the stream production side, I worked with Echo to deliver an experience we haven't seen before in the scene. I hope in the future we can continue to experiment and find ways to make the Final Fantasy race more entertaining. Yeah. This is going to be fairly long. Let's read. Yeah, it's pretty long, but I'm interested in this. But as I want to cover multiple aspects. First, I think it's important to quickly go into a little bit more detail about the removal of grind from the Mog Talk leaderboard. So this was the team that won by a lot. And then they posted their, like, screenshot, and one of them posted a screenshot that showed a little red dot on their screen, which is, like, the equivalent of people in WoW having, like, a crosshair over their character. It's the exact same thing. Your character has a hitbox, and it kind of just shows you where your character is. Almost no one in WoW uses this, even though add-ons are available. It's not any more broken in WoW than it is in that. It's like it's like personal preference at the absolute most. It is not something that's, like, really strong. Like, if you were to use it, it wouldn't... You might like it, but it wouldn't make you any better. There's some of the best players in WoW never use anything like this. Same with Final Fantasy. Super not big deal, but that is what caused all of this, and that got that... They got the world first, then they got it, like, revoked. But, like, not really, because the other team that got granted winning was like, we're not going to say we won, because obviously they know they're using that shit, too. When the original ranking team, I sent an unlisted VOD of their clear... I was sent an enlisted VOD of their clear from the leader. Scanning through the video, everything looked completely legitimate, and I had no initial reason to dismiss the team's claim. Later, after seeing the reaction the community had about one of the screenshots containing a red dot, our team investigated further. At first, it seemed rather harmless and possibly not worth disqualification. Yeah, that's where I would be, but the more our team looked into it, the more suspicious it was. I then reached out personally to the account that posted it in the team leader, and then it was confirmed that even while it was agreed upon in the group to not use any third-party programs, Lamau, one of their members did download a program which caused a red dot to appear under their character. That is so fucking fake news. Like, we agreed to not use any third-party programs, but then someone would download the most innocuous, irrelevant, not important thing. Like, that decision is so extremely stupid, if that's actually true, that it's just, like, completely unbelievable. You know? I don't know. That just sounds like complete bullshit to me. But at a base level, it seems rather harmless. But the program used to make that happen had an arsenal of game-breaking tools. So I decided to make the call to disqualify them. I do truly believe they are a group of extraordinary skilled players, but it seemed to be a fair decision given the situation. I mean, they definitely won, but yeah. Okay, after the event, I had some time to reflect on everything. For nearly a decade, I've been involved in tracking the clears of the new difficult content for Final Fantasy. Before me, however, the race still existed. I didn't create the concept of players wanting to be first in the world. The news of players clearing it first would show up on Reddit, Twitter, and other social media outlets. And when I started tracking it, my goal was just to collect information from those outlets and rank them to provide a clear standing of teams. It wasn't much more in-depth than that. I didn't do an analysis of what was a fair clear or not, just listed what was reported and backed by what the community accepted as a legitimate clear. I never considered myself the person who determined what was cheating or not. I wanted that to fall on the community as it was their race. Of course, as the years went on, the rating scene has evolved and the opinion of what is cheating has changed within that community. Yeah, definitely. Like, I think the weirdest thing this community has to go through is mods are banned and they are considered cheating by Square Enix. Any of them. Yet, the problem with that is, like, if the community was like, also, yes, any use of that is completely ridiculous and should be banned, but that's not what they think. There's some things like ACT, or like they upload to Final Fantasy logs, for example. You have to use third-party tools to do that. There's just things that they've started become normal and, I guess, accepted. But that's just, like, the biggest gray area of all time. Oh, all mods are banned, by the way. But, I don't know, some of them are fine, right, guys? But it doesn't matter anyway, because unless you, like, publicly post a screenshot or stream using them, which you can actually stream playing the game without even showing the mods you're using. I don't know. This is all Square Enix's fault. The fact that they've created a game where they either are, there's two things. They're either unwilling to enforce the rules that they have created for the community and have caused a lot of problems, or, and what I think it is they've made a game where they actually cannot detect if you are using third-party tools inside the game, which is insanely embarrassing. How? It's in 2024. Like, how? You know? So yeah. It's crazy that that scene doesn't try to just directly... This is entirely Square Enix's fault. I don't... I don't know how they are like fighting each other. There's a guilty party here, and it's no one involved except for the game creator. Okay, so years went on, and the rating scene has evolved, and the opinion on what was cheating has changed in that community. And I remember people reporting to me that the teams were using tools to emulate having an ultra-wide screen monitor. While it definitely gives an advantage, it was hard to declare that as cheating because many people with money to buy those monitors were getting the same thing. Many situations started coming up where I needed to make a ruling on what I thought was cheating. Again, I would not be involved in that determination, let the community stance on it hold. However, that is getting much harder to navigate on what exactly the community wants. We had situations where players were banned from the game for using quality of life plugins, which later were features added to the game. Yep. Like debuff timers and stuff. There was an infamous situation in the Omega protocol where a zoom hack was used. Again, some would argue that wasn't too drastically different than what today's ultra-wide monitors can do. Unfortunately, once the box is opened, though, it leaves doubt in the community's minds and legitimacy of clears. If the program was used, what else could they have been using that wasn't shown? Yeah, I mean, I talked to a couple of Final Fantasy players, and I think they said that they were, like, everyone focused on the fact that they were zooming out to the moon to look at the, like, platform and shit, but the reality is it was actually, like, they were using much more crazy shit. There are also programs that members in the raid community see as vital to their experience in this game. Ones that log data from fights to help analyze your gameplay. Ones that remove issues that come from latency and being able to weave in off-global abilities. Most would say these are harmless and a core function of raiding in Final Fantasy today. While I personally don't use any add-ons in the game, nor do I advise people to use them, I understand why they are used. However, in the end, they still break the terms of service of the game. Yep. In the past, Square Enix would officially congratulate teams for clearing the fights, but because of the controversy and the community's acceptance of breaking the terms, it doesn't make sense for them to support it. Yoshida, this is all their fault. It's their fault. Yoshida, the producer and director of Final Fantasy, expressed his disappointment in making challenging content if players are going to find ways to break the game to beat it. Fucking fix your game. It's on. Dude, they're like unyielding support for that company and this guy, I think blinds them a little bit. Like, I don't. Bro, if something like this was happening in WoW, it would so clearly be Blizzard's fault and everyone would be calling for Blizzard, and I just don't even understand in this scenario how it is not entirely on them. Okay, while certain aspects of the race are growing and becoming better, we are losing others. I feel like now is the time we come together as a community and make a new way forward. Okay, here's maybe where the controversy comes in. The events we are put on are always amazing. In my, of course, biased opinion, we have raised over 200k from the charity since starting it. It's exciting to see who's in the lead and decipher the mechanics live. It brings the community together, yeah, similar to a WoW race. While I don't want to disregard the efforts of offline teams and the legitimate reasons for why they're offline, it's hurting more than helping us move forward to something better. I want this to be an event everyone is proud of, so effective for future races, the request will be for teams to do something that seems outrageous to most raiders. These rules won't apply to previous races, and I have no intention of disregarding those rankings, but for all future races, no add-ons can be used and no terms of service with Final Fantasy can be broken. Okay. Let's read all of them first, but I already have something to say about that. No data mining attempts should be made by members of the team or someone who's trying to support the team. All teams must have one player at minimum streaming live, and VODs should persist. So, I feel like all of this does nothing. So, no add-ons can be used and no terms of service Final Fantasy can be broken is insane. Because that means that you can't even log. You can't even, like, log your fight. Right? Also, it's the same thing as now. This is the case now. Maybe not with the public, like, ranking of these teams. But, unless you like deliberately get caught doing this, you can't tell if you're doing this. So why would, like, anyone who's doing this before, this isn't going to change anything. The data mining thing I don't want to get into. I'm not super knowledgeable on it, but I know there's like basically the data mining you guys are aware of on Wowhead and like the dungeon journal that they give us on PTR. Like, some super geniuses are able to like data mine and find some of that shit out ahead of time. I don't think it like helps them like super figure out mechanics, but it maybe can like let them start thinking about, I don't know. I don't think it's that big of a deal, but I also don't know all the way about it. So maybe it is kind of crazy. All the teams must have one player at minimum streaming live, and VODs should persist. See, again, if you're currently not streaming, I don't even like this. I guess is good for the broadcast going forward, but this doesn't do anything. You could still use all of these things in stream. I know they know that, but or like everyone else could be using them and they're not. I don't know. You could also just not stream with comms if you wanted to talk about it. Also, there's some data server problems, right? Like some of the mods are ones that simulate what ping actually is like when you're really close to the data center. And like, I think you can double weave with that and not without it. So that's interesting, but okay, so wow, I just feel like this is so not different. He said this is going to be divisive, but like, I don't know. Also, like, some people just don't want to stream their progress. Like, we would have never streamed the Race to World First if there wasn't money in it, but there's no money in it. And I kind of respect the Final Fantasy teams committing to streaming it without any money being there, because that's a hard thing to do, right? No one in WoW did that. Method decided to do it when they had an offer to do it for money, and then it blew up. And then when we decided to start streaming, we had an offer from Red Bull, and then it just became a streaming thing. And like, the money was there from the beginning, right? Like, it's kind of impossible to ask people to be like, hey, see how it worked in this other game? I want you guys to like stream and have less of a chance at winning because the unofficial race thing says to you. Yeah. Anyways, I want the race to live in a world where there's no debate on what is cheating and what isn't. Square Enix should be able to support the race if they want to without fearing the support of add-ons. But none of this is going to change people using them. Some teams are already doing this, and I feel like this is the right call. I don't have the ability to install an anti-cheat on players' machines or any advanced way of monitoring it, so trust will be involved here. Yeah. If there's a case where someone has evidence that using an add-ons during the race, I will take action. I have no intention of monitoring players' add-on activity outside of the event. I mean, I think this will have some people who are using mods turn them off, but I don't think it will remove it entirely. And the whole point of this is to kind of like remove that question, and I feel like the question is always there. Did you guys get paid by Red Bull in Old Year? No. We didn't stream in Old Year or have anything to do with Red Bull. I also can't control data mining, but don't do it, guys. Streaming is also a tough decision, as I know it loses the aspect of figuring out the puzzles without being affected by other teams and strategies. Again, going with these rules disables a lot of add-ons, which some people believe removes latency disadvantages. UI changes that are important to players and more fairly argued reasons for the add-ons, but Final Fantasy World Race is evolving, and I have to make that decision. I feel like the right way to approach this model is to model Square Enix's ruling on add-ons. Oh my god. On another note, in the past, Yoshida asked for the community to help and give suggestions for what they could do for an official capacity to support the race. I'd like to go into what I think would be good. Allow a public log. Currently, the log used to analyze data is not meant to be public, and there are various reasons for that, but I believe this rule set put in place, they're never going to do that. Create a leaderboard similar to Deep Dungeons or crafting rankings. Like in-game? Okay, that would actually be good. Continue to strive for data protection, new patches. Okay. Hire a representative that would oversee competitive aspects of the game. Do they not have that? These may not all be possible, but I think they're at least reasonable to ask. They don't have to officiate the race, but the actions can help support it. Again, this may not be the answer people wanted. Okay, I'm interested to see the response to this. I'm receiving a lot of feedback and spoken to members. Oh no, here it is. Yeah. I want to make decisions best. More, please know your voices are being heard. More to come. Okay, well, what is the response? So 200 responses. Well, I mostly agree, Sindolf. I think this is a poor choice when it comes to logging and ping mitigation tools. Everyone should be on an equal playing field, and expecting people not to run any of these is unrealistic. Players should, however, push Square Enix harder on these subjects, especially ping. You do not speak for the community. Just have everyone play on console. I say this not knowing how difficult it is from a coding perspective, but Final Fantasy having an exportable CSV file to fight might solve or mitigate things. Yeah, honestly, having more structure, it even shocked me as a normal person. Guess they can't use ACT since it breaks TOS. The streaming requirement is also dumb. I'm interested in seeing where the actual, like, players are here. Bro, getting on the Xbox real quick. Looked at his watch. He done. Why do you think I looked at my watch? Do you think I was looking at the time? I can see the time on my screen. I was looking at my watch because I got a text. You know what I mean? From the old hockey team. Oh, it's a habit? Oh, when I usually look at my watch, I end my stream. Do you guys pay attention to my movements like my dogs do? Like usually when I sit up in my chair and I'm like, all right, I'll see you guys later. They like get up and, oh, look. Okay, here he comes. All right, let's just say hi, Reptar, real quick. Little Reppy, come here, buddy. Oh, what a stretch. Come here, buddy. Come on. Come say hi. Oh, he's so cute. Come here. Come on. Oh, yeah. Oh, he's a Reptar. Look at him. Oh, my God. Hey, buddy. Wow. Wow. So big. Is that what you're referring to your new girl as, your hockey team? No, it's my hockey team. Don't be doing all that. As far as you all know, there's no new anyone. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. The community can get mad at him. I understand why he's doing this, but I just think the whole premise is completely nonsense. They're all just trying to solve an impossible problem. Stop using these things that we cannot detect that you're using. Just insane. And it's all because a company, a tech company in 2024 can't figure out how to police this shit on their own. So all the people in the community point fingers at each other and get mad every single time these raids come out. Just like, it's just fucking figure out your own game, man. What is it? If they police it and use anti-cheat, they will lose money from people who use casual mods. While I think that's possible, I would be willing to bet that that is not true. Watch again. I'm getting... Bro, the group chat is fucking popping off right now. There's been 6 messages in the past 5 minutes. You do insta-mute group chats all the time? That's where all the boys are at, though. You know? What is it? Real talk, it probably has more to do with realizing actively policing the issue for most players would drive a lot of the community away, as well as Square Enix feeling like they have to balance between PC and console players. Dude, I could be crazy, but with how Square Enix reacts about mods, I feel like if they had a way, like if an engineer there was like, hey, I found a way to like detect if this is there, we can make a post saying, hey guys, don't do it, we can tell if you're using it now, and then we do one ban wave, and then people stop using them forever, and there's no more PC console divide, and you just can't use them anymore. I think they would do that in a fucking heartbeat. I don't know what kind of reaction it would have, but I think that would they would do that as a company for sure. Max, say hi to your new hockey team for us. Do you guys think I'm telling you that I'm typing in a hockey group chat, which I absolutely am, and you think I'm texting someone else instead and just lying to you? That's what a few of you are insinuating. That's insane. I would just tell you that. Why would I do that? I have a hockey game tonight and tomorrow, and there's people posting in and out and saying they'll be here or not. That's usually when that text goes out. You guys hear the constant dings and then me not responding to them? You think that's one person just texting me fucking 100 times? That doesn't make any sense. Come on, man. All right, anyways. I'm going to go try playing Twilight Princess. And I'll let you guys know how it goes tomorrow. And then Pee-wee 2, Friday. You heard me? Beard? It has a very slow start, just to warn. Alright, well, if I get